If you have the courage to hear the full nightmare, stay till the end. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more terrifying stories like this. The grave was still wet. Fresh mud clung to the edges, dark and heavy, as if it had been dug only minutes ago. The air smelled of soil, rot, and something metallic, like blood soaked deep into the earth. I took one step closer, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might tear my chest open. That's when I saw the name, carved deep into the stone, uneven and rushed, like whoever wrote it was in a hurry. My full name, first name, last name, even the spelling mistake my school records used to have. My legs went weak. Around the grave stood people dressed in black. Too many people. Neighbors, distant relatives, faces I recognized, and some I didn't. Their expressions weren't sad. They weren't crying. They just stared at the grave with hollow eyes, like they were waiting for something to happen. I opened my mouth to speak. No one reacted. I shouted. Still nothing. It felt like my voice was being swallowed before it could reach them. An old man standing closest to the grave leaned toward another mourner and whispered loudly, "Poor boy. He doesn't even know yet." Know what? My stomach twisted painfully. I stepped forward, waving my arms, trying to get someone, anyone, to look at me properly. That's when I noticed it. Their eyes. Every single person had their pupils slightly tilted, not toward the grave, but toward me. They weren't seeing me the way people see the living. They were watching me the way you watch something that shouldn't exist. A sudden pressure wrapped around my wrist. Cold fingers. Too tight. I turned sharply. It was my younger brother. But something was wrong. His face looked drained, like all the blood had been sucked out. His lips were pale and cracked. And his eyes were completely black, as if someone had poured ink into them. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Bye, you weren't supposed to come here." A shiver ran through my spine. "Come where?" I asked, my voice shaking. He tightened his grip, his nails digging into my skin hard enough to draw blood. He didn't blink even once. "To your own burial." I ripped my hand away and stumbled backward. My heels sank into something soft. I looked down. I wasn't standing on grass. I was standing on another grave. No headstone. No name. Just loose soil, freshly disturbed. The ground beneath my feet shifted. Slowly, then violently. The soil cracked open. A hand burst out from the grave and wrapped around my ankle. Its grip was strong, inhuman. Mud splattered everywhere as a face pushed its way up from the earth. My face. Same eyes. Same nose. Same scar above the eyebrow. But its mouth stretched far wider than humanly possible. It smiled at me and spoke in my voice. "You're late," it said softly. "So I took your place." The thing wearing my face pulled itself fully out of the grave. Mud slid off its body like rotten skin. Its joints cracked as it stood, moving awkwardly at first, then suddenly perfectly normal, as if it had remembered how to be human. My human. It looked down at itself and smiled in satisfaction. Around us, the people at the funeral began chanting. Not prayers, not verses. They were repeating my name. Again, and again, and again. Each time they said it, my head throbbed violently, like something inside my skull was trying to escape. The thing turned toward them and raised its hand. Instant silence. Everyone froze. Then they bowed. Every single person, neighbors, relatives, even my younger brother, bowed their heads to it. I tried to run. My legs wouldn't move. The ground beneath me felt heavy, as if the earth itself was gripping my feet, pulling me closer to the open grave behind me. The thing stepped toward me. Up close, I could see details that made my stomach turn. Its skin was stitched together in places I'd never had wounds. Thin black threads ran along its neck, behind its ears, across its wrists. Its eyes blinked out of sync, one eye closing a fraction of a second later than the other. "You're confused," it said calmly. "That's normal for replacements." "Replacement?" I screamed. It nodded slowly. "When someone sleeps at the wrong time," it explained, "the door opens. And if we arrive, first we stay." My brother finally looked up. Tears streamed down his face, but his expression was empty. "We tried to wake you," he said flatly, "but you smiled in your sleep." The thing laughed. Not loudly, almost lovingly. "You smiled because you felt safe," it said. "That's when it's easiest." The soil behind me collapsed. The empty grave widened, deepened. I felt myself sliding backward. The thing grabbed my arm. Not rough, not violent. Gentle, like a parent guiding a child. "Don't fight it," it whispered. "Struggling makes it hurt more." I looked into its eyes, and for a moment, I saw something behind them. A crowd, thousands of faces, all screaming, all trapped, all watching through borrowed eyes. That's when I understood. This wasn't the first time. I screamed and twisted free, tearing skin from my arm. I ran through the graveyard, knocking over mourners. None of them stopped me. None of them helped. They just watched. I burst through the iron gate and sprinted toward my street. Behind me, the chanting started again. But this time, they weren't saying my name. They were counting. 1, 2, 3. I didn't stop running, because I knew what came next. When they reached 0, I wouldn't be allowed to exist anymore. That I don't remember opening the front door. One moment I was running, lungs burning, legs shaking. The next, I was inside my house. The door was shut behind me. Locked. The lights were on. Too bright, almost painful. The living room looked familiar, but something felt wrong in a way I couldn't immediately explain. The air felt heavier, like it was pressing against my skin. I took a step forward. The family photos on the wall caught my attention. Every picture that once had me in it was altered. My face was scratched out. In some, my head was completely missing. In others, it was replaced with a dark blur, like someone had burned the image away. My stomach twisted. The television was on. Static. Then the static cleared. It was a live broadcast. The graveyard. My grave. The thing wearing my body stood beside it, calmly accepting condolences. People shook its hand. Someone hugged it. Someone cried into its chest. It nodded. It smiled. Like it belonged there. A soft voice spoke behind me. "Why did you come back?" I turned. My mother sat on the couch, folding clothes. Her movements were slow and mechanical, as if she had done this same action 1,000 times already. She didn't look shocked to see me. She looked exhausted. "That wasn't me," I said, my voice shaking. "That thing out there isn't real." She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she kept folding. "He's real enough," she said quietly. "Real enough to stay." My chest tightened. "Can you see me?" I asked. She looked up. Her eyes were red, swollen, empty. "Yes," she said. "That's the problem." Footsteps echoed behind me. I turned again. My father stood near the hallway entrance. The moment he saw me, all color drained from his face. He took a step back, as if I had pointed a weapon at him. "No," he whispered. "You weren't supposed to make it here." "I'm standing right in front of you," I shouted. "I'm alive." He shook his head. "Our son is already buried," he said. "Whatever you are, you're late." The television volume increased on its own. The thing on the screen turned slowly toward the camera. Toward me. Its smile widened. My mother began to cry. "We warned you," she sobbed. "We told you not to fall asleep after 3:17. My blood went cold. I remembered the clock. 3:17 a.m. The warmth. The pressure. The comfort that felt wrong. "What happens at 3:17? I asked. My father's voice dropped to a whisper. "That's when they check if the body is available." The lights flickered violently. Heavy footsteps sounded from the hallway. Closer. Slower. Deliberate. My father grabbed my arm, his hands shaking. "If it reaches you," he said, panic flooding his voice, "you won't even be a memory." The footsteps stopped outside the door. A shadow slid underneath it. Then came the knock. 3 sharp knocks. Exactly the way I used to knock. The bedroom door opened by itself. Slowly. The hinges did not creak. They didn't need to. Something tall stepped inside. It was not the thing wearing my body. This was older. Thinner. Its limbs bent the wrong way, joints reversing as it moved. Its skin looked stretched, like it had been pulled over a frame that didn't fit. No face. Just a smooth surface where a face should have been, with shallow impressions where eyes and a mouth were meant to form. My parents backed away immediately. This thing did not look at them. It looked only at me. "You woke up," it said. Its voice didn't come from a mouth. It came from inside my head. I tried to run. My legs failed. The room shifted. The walls faded, peeling away like wet paper, revealing my bedroom as it had been the night before. The bed. The clock. The red numbers glowing on the table. 3:17 a.m. I was lying there again. But I was also standing. I watched myself sleeping. My chest rose and fell slowly. Peacefully. A small smile on my lips. That smile made me sick. That was the moment. The faceless thing said, "You stopped being needed." It reached out. Its fingers sank into my sleeping chest, as if my body were made of water. My sleeping self gasped. Eyes snapped open, but they weren't mine anymore. Something looked out from behind them. The thing wearing my body sat up in bed and stretched, testing fingers, rolling shoulders, learning the limits of flesh. It looked disappointed for only a second. Cheap, it muttered. But it will do. I screamed. No one reacted. The faceless thing turned to me. You think this is theft, it said. It isn't. It's replacement. The room filled with shapes. Others. Watching. Some were half-formed. Some looked human but moved wrong. All of them stared at my body with hunger. Every night, the thing continued. Millions sleep at the wrong moment. Most wake up unchanged. Some are emptied. A few are useful. It pointed at me. You woke up during the transfer. That makes you excess. My body stood and walked to the mirror. It touched its reflection. Smiled. Perfectly. My parents appeared behind it. Eyes empty, faces drained of resistance. They already knew this outcome. You'll stay here, the faceless thing told me. Between moments. Watching. I lunged forward, grabbing my own arm. My hand passed straight through it. My body didn't even flinch. Instead, it leaned close to the mirror and whispered something to its reflection. Something I remembered saying once. I finally feel complete. The bedroom collapsed inward. The walls closed. The light vanished. The last thing I saw was my body walking out of the room, and the door closing behind it, locking me inside the time I no longer belonged to. I didn't fall into darkness. I fell into waiting. Time here didn't move forward. It looped. Moments stacked on top of each other like broken glass. I could see fragments of the house at different hours. Morning light bleeding through curtains, night shadows crawling across walls, all happening at once. And I was stuck in the crack between them. Voices echoed around me. Not the creatures. My parents. I watched them from everywhere and nowhere. They sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around cold cups of tea. Their faces looked older than they should have, worn down by something heavier than grief. It worked, my father said. My mother didn't answer. It always works, he continued. As long as we follow the rule. That word again. Rule. My mother finally spoke. For how long? There was a pause. Until it needs a better body, he said. The air tightened. I understood then. This wasn't the first time my family had done this. Memories forced themselves into my mind. Things I had ignored my entire life. The locked bedroom at night. The strict rules about sleep. The fear in my parents' eyes whenever I mentioned nightmares. They weren't protecting me. They were maintaining me. The thing wearing my body came home after sunset. I watched it enter the house, moving confidently, comfortably. It knew where everything was. It knew how to smile, how to speak, how to sound like me. My mother flinched when it walked past her. Just for a second. Enough to notice. It stopped. Turned. Is something wrong? It asked in my voice. She forced a smile. No. It studied her face closely. Longer than necessary. Good, it said. Because if you hesitate, I get curious. My father swallowed hard. That night, they sat together in the living room. The thing sat between them. Like a son, it asked questions. Normal questions. About their day. About their health. About how long they planned to keep living here. My father answered carefully. My mother barely spoke. Later, when they thought it was asleep, they whispered. We can't fail again, my mother said. If it replaces him too soon. It won't, my father replied. This one fits. It's stable. Stable. I screamed. They didn't hear me. The thing opened its eyes in the bedroom. Smiling. It wasn't asleep. It never slept. It stood in front of the mirror and pressed its fingers into the glass. I hope you're watching, it whispered. I was pulled closer. Dragged. Forced into the mirror. I saw myself reflected, but wrong. Hollow. Fading. My features blurring like old ink. That's the rule, the thing said calmly. One body. One place. One stays. Its smile widened. And your family already chose. The mirror cracked. And I began to disappear. That I didn't vanish completely. That was the cruelty of it. I remained just enough to see. Just enough to understand. The house peeled away, and suddenly I was outside, hovering above the street like a stain that wouldn't wash out. Night had fallen. The neighborhood looked calm. Peaceful. Normal. That lie made it worse. Lights turned on in nearby houses, one by one. Curtains shifted. Faces appeared behind glass. Watching. Waiting. The thing wearing my body stepped onto the porch. Immediately, movement rippled through the street. Doors opened. Neighbors emerged. Not panicked. Not surprised. Prepared. An old woman from across the road nodded slowly when she saw it. A man 2 houses down crossed himself. Someone else smiled with relief. They surrounded it in a loose circle. No one asked where I was. No one asked what happened. One of them spoke. "This one seems calm." "It is," the thing replied pleasantly. The last one struggled. A low murmur followed. "So it's true," someone whispered. "The family kept the rule." Kept the rule. My mind reeled. This wasn't a secret. It was an agreement. The thing turned slowly, scanning their faces. "You all remember your part," it said. "If you see him wandering, if he tries to speak, you look away." My chest burned with rage. I tried to scream. The sound came out wrong, thin, distorted, stretched. One woman gasped and stepped back. She could hear me. For a moment, hope flared. The thing noticed instantly. It turned its head sharply toward her. "You heard something?" it asked. She froze. "No," she said quickly. "Nothing." The thing stared at her. Long. Then it smiled. "Good." I felt myself being pulled again, dragged through walls, through doors, through flesh. I was forced back into the house, into the bedroom. The thing lay down on the bed, closed its eyes, and waited. I was trapped above it, pressed against the ceiling like smoke. Hours passed, then days. I watched it live my life. Go to work, talk to friends, laugh at jokes I remembered making. It was better at being me than I ever was. People liked it more. That realization hurt worse than the horror. One night, it stood in the bathroom, staring at itself. Its reflection twitched. For the first time, its smile faltered. "Bodies decay," it muttered, "even borrowed ones." It touched its chest, pressing harder than necessary. I felt it. Pain exploded through me. It looked up sharply. "You're still here," it said softly. "That's inconvenient." It leaned closer to the mirror. You know what happens when replacements linger too long. The reflection behind it changed. I saw dozens of faces pressed against the glass. Screaming, scratching, all forgotten, all erased. "That's where you're going," it whispered. The mirror darkened, and I realized the truth. I wasn't haunting the house. The house was feeding on me. Something went wrong. I felt it before I saw it. A sharp, tearing sensation ripped through me. Like hooks buried deep inside my spine were being pulled all at once. The thing wearing my body screamed, not in fear, but in frustration. It collapsed in the bathroom. I watched from above as it slammed its hands against the sink, breathing hard. Veins bulged unnaturally across its neck. Its skin rippled, shifting like something alive was crawling underneath it. It stared into the mirror. The reflection lagged. For half a second, its face didn't match its movements. That half second was enough. Cracks spread across its cheeks. Black fluid leaked from the corners of its eyes, dripping down like thick oil. It wiped its face, then stared at its fingers. They were rotting. Not slowly. Rapidly. Skin peeled back in wet strips, exposing dark, pulsing tissue beneath. The smell hit instantly, sweet, rotten, unbearable. "This body is rejecting me," it snarled. My parents rushed in. My mother gagged. My father froze in place. "You said it would last," my father whispered. The thing turned its head sharply. "You said you would maintain it." It grabbed my mother by the hair and dragged her in front of the mirror. Her scream cut off when it forced her face inches from the glass. "Look," it hissed. "This is what neglect looks like." The mirror changed. Not a reflection. A window. Inside it, I saw bodies. Piles of them. Stripped. Broken. Half-formed things stitched together from pieces that didn't belong. Some were still moving. Some were screaming without mouths. My mother collapsed. The thing released her and stepped back, breathing unevenly. "I need a new anchor," it said. "This one is failing." My father understood immediately. "No," he said. "Not again." The thing's eyes snapped toward him. There is always an again. Its gaze shifted, straight at me. Even without eyes that could truly see me, it knew where I was. "You're still attached," it said slowly. "That's why the decay won't stop." I felt hands tear into me. Invisible fingers dug through my chest, pulling pieces of me out like organs. Every memory, every emotion, every fragment of who I was, ripped away and shoved back into the body. I screamed. The thing screamed with me. Its flesh snapped back into place violently. Bones realigned with wet cracks. Skin sealed itself, leaving behind twisted scars. It stood upright, breathing calmly now, satisfied. My parents stared at it in horror. "You see," it said softly. "You can't keep him hidden forever." It leaned close to the mirror again. "And you?" It whispered to me, are running out of places to exist. The mirror's surface bulged outward. Hands pressed from the inside. Too many hands. Scratching. Begging. The thing smiled wider than ever before. You're going where the others went. The mirror shattered, and I was pulled inside that I didn't fall. I was thrown. Through the shattered mirror. Through layers of darkness that felt thick and alive, like I was being forced down a throat that never ended. Shapes brushed past me. Faces, limbs, mouths opening and closing without sound. The deeper I went, the louder the screaming became. Then I hit something solid. The ground was not earth. It was flesh. I pushed myself up and immediately wished I hadn't. I was standing on a massive pit made of bodies. Not stacked neatly, fused together. Limbs melted into torsos. Faces stretched and frozen mid-scream. Some were old, dried and cracked. Others were fresh, still twitching. Above me, the opening sealed shut. Light vanished, but I could still see. The pit glowed faintly from within, lit by veins of something dark pulsing through the walls. Every pulse sent waves of pain through the bodies around me. They were alive. All of them. A voice echoed from everywhere at once. This is where the leftovers go. The faceless thing appeared, towering above the pit. Its form clearer here, stitched, layered, incomplete. You call them graves, it continued. But graves are just doors. I looked closer. The faces around me weren't strangers. Neighbors. People I recognized from the street. Children. Entire families. All replaced. All erased. When a body is taken, the thing said calmly, the original doesn't die. That would be inefficient. The bodies beneath me shifted. Hands grabbed my legs. Not pulling me down. Holding me in place. You become foundation, it explained. Memory. Stability. The reason the replacements don't collapse. I screamed as something tore into my back. Not claws, not teeth, threads. Thick, black threads that stitched me into the mass. Pain exploded through every thought I had ever owned. I felt myself spreading, blending, losing edges. Above, the thing turned away. My work here is done, it said. This family will last a while. The pit began to close. I felt my face stretch, my mouth open wider than it should. A scream tore out of me, not sound, but vibration, traveling upward through the ground. The earth responded. The scene shifted. I saw the graveyard again. Morning light. Fresh soil. A new grave. A name carved into the stone. Not mine. Yours. I tried to warn you. I pushed everything I had into the surface. The dirt trembled. For a moment. Just one. Something scratched from below. Then it stopped. People walked past the grave, unconcerned. Life continued. And somewhere above, the thing wearing my face laughed softly, breathing easily, perfectly alive. Because the pit was full again. For now, if you reach the end, you already know why some graves are never empty. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.